Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're enjoying the Aurora Borealis here. Maybe we're in Alaska, who knows? Um, this looks really cool. So I'm recording this with a green screen behind me. You might be able to see it. I've chosen a virtual background because I know you guys are smarter than me. And if I were to post a video of myself with just green screen behind me, I know you guys would figure out a way to I don't know, put me in weird situations. But all that is to say that I've got some new equipment that I purchased to try to upgrade how my content looks and sounds and feels. And I don't know how any of it works. I have been sitting here the past few days in my free time and trying to figure it out. And I thought I was technologically savvy. I don't know what I'm doing. So hopefully at some point in the future, I'll be able to post, maybe a live playthrough of me playing Stardew Valley was an option that I posed on my Facebook page. I did have one person who showed interest, but I don't get a lot of traffic on my Facebook posts, so perhaps that's why. Excuse me, I'm enjoying my coffee. Um, Anyway, so I've got a green screen. I have this doodad, which is supposed to help me up my sound game, change my voice into funny voices, have sound effects when appropriate. I got this new light that I don't have plugged in. I have my old light up. It's supposed to connect to the table. I'm currently working on a glass table. I don't know if that's gonna be a problem. I need to get that figured out. I have a new digital camera. So hopefully things are going to be pretty swanky here soon, but today is just not that day. Um what have you been doing this summer? I have plans later on to go, and in honor of my best friend's birthday, she has invited me to go swimming with her. It is a very hot sunny day outside, so I'm going to take her up on that offer. It sounds like it's going to be amazing. Something else I've been doing a lot uh lately is uh playing Animal Crossing. I've rediscovered Animal Crossing, so I've been really into to updating my island that I have abandoned for see 3 or 4 years. I was really into it during the lockdown with COVID, but anyway, I've got like these little amiibo guys that I got on Etsy um way back when. So I'm like trying to use those and stuff. I don't know. Um, so fun stuff. Anyway, we are here to continue reading The Wild Robot Escape. So let me get another big gulp of my coffee and we'll get into it because it's been a few days. Sorry. Alrighty. Thank you. The Wild Robot Escapes, and we are on chapter 25, titled The Summer. Perfect. Spring melted into summer, and the wolves were nowhere to be seen. Perhaps Roz had scared off the pack for good, or perhaps the heat was keeping them away. You see, it was the hottest time of year on the farm. The sun was scorching, the fields were baking, the pond was drying up, and foul odors were floating all throughout the dairy. During dry spells, the farm's powerful sprayers were activated. Water shot out in long, misty arcs, and the land turned deeper shades of green. When the hay fields were lush and ready to be harvested, Roz fired up the mower and the baler. The giant machines rolled out of the shed and down the long driveway. Shortly afterward, they rolled back in, leaving bales of hay strewn across the stubbly fields. The cows and humans spent hot days indoors. Only when the sun set and the air began to cool would they venture outside. The herd strolled out to graze under the stars. The children ran out to chase fireflies, and sometimes even Mr. Sharif stepped out to stretch his stiff legs. Trees swished in the evening breeze. Heat lightning flickered on the horizon. Cicadas sang their summer songs. When Roz wasn't farming, she was searching for a way to escape. Everything hinged on the children. The robot needed their help, but she just couldn't bring herself to tell them the truth. It was still too risky. Mr. Sharif asked the children not to distract Roz from her work, but they did it anyway. They'd sneak out of the house and order the robot to play with them. Together, they told stories, rode bicycles, lay in the grass, watching fluffy clouds drift by. Summer was tornado season. On occasion, thick clouds would start funneling downward, reaching for the ground. So far, the funnel clouds had all receded back into the sky before doing any damage, but it was only a matter of time before a tornado touched down. That's interesting because where I live, we do have tornado seasons, to the point where we have 2 to 3, I think 2, one in the late winter and one in the spring. Anyway, tornado drills at our school, for students to practice what to do in case there were ever a tornado during school hours. And actually, not this past school year, but the school year before, we had a tornado touch down in the area. And we did actually have to stay a little bit past school hours and lock down in our like safe space. So it's good to practice where we live. I'm curious if you live somewhere where there are tornadoes, or if you've ever experienced, having to maybe hide in a bathtub if you don't have a basement, or go down to the basement during a tornado warning or a tornado watch. So make a comment in the comments if you have ever experienced something like that, or if you don't live somewhere where there's tornadoes. Anyway, chapter 26, the tornado. The weather forecasts warned of possible tornadoes that day, but despite their scientific equipment, experts still couldn't predict exactly when or where a tornado would strike. So most farmers carried on with their usual tasks, while keeping a watchful eye on the skies. Roz was out in the fields loading hay bales onto the flatbed truck as towering puffy clouds rose up from the south. Raindrops lightly tapped against her body, and she thought nothing of it. The wind began to blow, and still the robot continued with her work. Excuse me. It wasn't until the first flash of lightning that Roz finally called it quits. She climbed onto the back of the truck, and it automatically rolled across the hayfield toward the driveway. Something just dropped off of my lap. I don't know what it was, though. Sorry. The storm developed quickly. Dark clouds started swirling and bulging downward, lower and lower. Ooh, this picture. Giant twisting finger pointing at the countryside. A tornado was beginning to form. The truck reached the driveway. Roz hollered, "Drive faster!" The engine revved. The tires kicked up the gravel, and the robot held on tight. The funnel cloud continued stretching downward. It brushed the tree line, and leaves exploded into the air. Then the tornado touched the ground. A siren sounded in the distance, but the tornado was growing noisier and angrier as it blew in from the fields, and suddenly the siren was quickly lost to the howling winds. The truck charged up the driveway and into the cluster of farm buildings. Roz looked ahead at the house and saw frightened faces in the windows. "Go to the storm shelter!" she hollered in her loudest voice. Then she leapt off the truck and ran to help the Sharifs. Look at this ominous picture. Ooh. I also forgot to mention that where we live, in like the spring, summertime, the first Wednesday of every month at noon, I want to say, they have like a practice or a drill, like sounding off the tornado sirens, just to make sure that they are working properly. Leaves and sticks flew sideways, whipping against the robot's body, knocking her off balance. Behind her, the farm buildings rattled and groaned. The milking parlor was shaking violently. With a long, terrible screech, its entire roof peeled off and sailed away on the wind. 4 blurry shapes appeared in the backyard. Mr. Sharif shielded his face and hobbled against the house toward the storm shelter. He threw open the door and waved everyone down the stairs. Oscar went first, then Jaya, but Jad wasn't moving. "Come on, Jad!" yelled his father. The boy stood still, shaggy hair flying everywhere. He stared up at the towering, twisting tornado. He used to have nightmares about tornadoes. But this was no nightmare, it was real, and it was getting closer. The clouds swirled faster. The wind roared louder. The trees bent down to the ground. Jad suddenly felt strong storms around him, and Roz whisked him to safety. Strong arms around him. I think I may have said storms, sorry. Mr. Sharif reached up from the inside the shelter, desperately grasping for his son. And just when Roz thrust the boy into his father's arms, a blast of wind slammed the shelter door closed and swept our robot away. At first, Roz didn't realize she was in the tornado. She only kept expecting to fall back to the ground, but the wind only lifted her higher and higher. She saw the treetops, the rooftops, the faraway fields. More of the countryside came into view with each spin around the funnel cloud. Our robot's survival instincts were blaring in her head, urging her to protect herself. But what could she do? The tornado was in control. The winds whirled around her, up and down, up and around. Roz could almost imagine what it was like to fly. And she thought of Bright Bill. It seemed her final moments would be spent in her son's airborne world. Roz wasn't the only thing swept up away in the storm. Dust, gravel, leaves, branches, fence posts, and farm equipment were all swirling around with her. The robot was pelted by flying objects, big and small. She never even saw the shovel coming. The heavy tool wheeled around the tornado and clang! It hit the back of her head. Suddenly, everything went dark while Roz was up in the sky. And I hate to stop there. It's a good place to stop. So we will continue. I mean, there's this much book left. So what do you think? Do you think Roz is done for? You think that's the end of her story? There's also another book. We'll have to see what happens in the Wild Robot Escapes as we continue next time. Have a great day. Stay cool. Stay safe. Comment if you have ever experienced a tornado or like those sirens we were talking about, or having to evacuate to a basement or a bathroom somewhere safe, or if you don't even know what I'm talking about. So I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Bye.